January 17, 1994 began like any other day in Southern California. The residents of the San Fernando Valley were sound asleep in the early hours of the morning, with no idea that the ground beneath them was about to violently rupture. Despite being situated in one of the most seismically active regions in the world, many in Los Angeles had grown used to the occasional tremor. But what was about to happen would be unlike anything the city had seen in years. As the clock struck 4:31 a.m., the earth began to shake with a force that would leave lasting scars across the region and push emergency responders to their limits.
At exactly 4:31 a.m., a powerful 6.7 magnitude earthquake struck the Northridge area of Los Angeles, catching the city off guard. The shaking was intense and violent, lasting for approximately 10 to 20 seconds, but that brief moment of terror was enough to cause widespread destruction. The epicenter was located beneath the densely populated Northridge neighborhood, but the quake's impact rippled throughout the entire Los Angeles basin. Freeways buckled, buildings collapsed, and homes were torn apart as the earth twisted and heaved beneath the feet of millions of Californians. The city, accustomed to smaller tremors, was suddenly thrown into chaos.
In the light of dawn, the full scale of the devastation became clear. The quake had caused nearly 60 deaths and injured more than 9,000 people. Entire apartment complexes, including the infamous Northridge Meadows apartments, crumbled under the force of the tremor, trapping residents inside. Freeways that were lifelines for the region, such as the Interstate 5 and State Route 14, collapsed, leaving motorists stranded and impeding rescue efforts. Hospitals were overwhelmed with the injured, and emergency services were stretched to their limits. The city, known for its sunny skies and vibrant energy, now resembled a war zone, with streets filled with debris, ruptured gas lines, and fires spreading unchecked.
The Northridge earthquake was unique and particularly destructive due to the fault that caused it. Unlike the well-known San Andreas Fault, which runs along the length of California, this quake originated from a previously unknown blind thrust fault, a fault that doesn't break the surface of the earth, but instead lies buried beneath it. This hidden fault produced an upward motion during the quake, which caused the ground to violently jolt upwards, amplifying the shaking. Many buildings and structures, though built to California's seismic codes, were not prepared for the intense vertical motion caused by this kind of fault, leading to catastrophic collapses.
As if the initial quake wasn't terrifying enough, the aftermath brought more destruction. More than 11,000 aftershocks rattled the region in the days, weeks, and months following the main quake, some of them strong enough to cause additional damage to already weakened structures. Fires erupted throughout the city due to ruptured gas lines, engulfing homes and businesses in flames. Rescue teams worked around the clock, sifting through the rubble of collapsed buildings in search of survivors, while firefighters battled blazes that seemed to pop up at every turn. The residents were left to cope without electricity, running water or phone service for days, adding to the already overwhelming sense of fear and chaos.
In the wake of the disaster, the people of Los Angeles showed incredible resilience. Emergency responders, police, firefighters, and volunteers risked their lives to rescue those trapped in the wreckage. Ordinary citizens became heroes as they helped neighbors and strangers alike, pulling people from crumbled buildings and offering shelter to the homeless. Medical personnel worked tirelessly in hospitals and makeshift clinics, treating the injured and providing care under extreme conditions. The spirit of community shone through the devastation as Angelenos came together to rebuild and support one another in the face of overwhelming destruction.
The Northridge earthquake exposed serious vulnerabilities in California's infrastructure. The collapse of key freeway overpasses, such as the Interstate 5, Interstate 14 interchange, and the damage to State Route 118 paralyzed traffic in and out of the San Fernando Valley for weeks. The destruction of several major hospitals, including the Northridge Hospital Medical Center, further hampered emergency response efforts. The quake revealed weaknesses in both older and newer buildings, especially in structures that lacked adequate retrofitting or failed to meet updated seismic standards. This led to widespread public demand for stricter building codes and seismic safety measures across the state.
In the years following the Northridge earthquake, California undertook an ambitious plan to overhaul its building and infrastructure standards to better withstand future quakes. The state's seismic retrofit program was expanded, mandating the retrofitting of older buildings, particularly those with soft-story vulnerabilities. So engineers and scientists studied the effects of the Northridge quake closely, learning valuable lessons about fault behavior and how different types of construction responded to seismic activity. Freeways were rebuilt with advanced earthquake-resistant designs, and hospitals were reinforced to prevent future collapses. So the Northridge earthquake became a turning point in the state's approach to disaster preparedness, ensuring that the next big one would not catch the city as unprepared.
For the residents of Los Angeles, the memory of the Northridge earthquake remains a vivid and painful reminder of nature's power. Many who lived through that day still recall the terror of being jolted from sleep, the chaos of escaping their homes, and the uncertainty of not knowing if their loved ones were safe. Though much of the physical damage has long since been repaired, the emotional scars linger. The earthquake shook not just buildings, but the psyche of a city that had long lived under the shadow of the San Andreas Fault, only to be devastated by a hidden threat. Yet in the face of tragedy, the resilience and spirit of Los Angeles emerged stronger than ever.
The Northridge earthquake left an enduring legacy, not only in terms of physical destruction but in shaping the future of earthquake preparedness and response in California. It stands as a stark reminder that even in a place as vibrant and alive as Los Angeles, the forces of nature can strike without warning. But it also highlighted the strength of community and the capacity to rebuild after disaster. Today, Los Angeles stands ready for the next major earthquake, fortified by the lessons learned in 1994, and forever marked by the day the city shook to its core.